kiss for you.
All right, let's talk about Fantasy Life I. For a quick breakdown here, I have played a lot of what are called like slow life games, if this is qualified as that, and that would include things like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, Rune Factory, Story of Seasons, Roots of Pacha, Wildflowers, Ooblet, Sakura of Rice and Ruin, a game called Re-Legend I backed 5 years ago for them to not do anything with. And I played a lot of these games, and so this was kind of just another peg on that wall. And of those, I like Stardew Valley, I like Animal Crossing. That's about it. All these other ones didn't really hit me to any capacity, so I was interested in Fantasy Life I mostly because I originally thought it was a remake of the 3DS game that I hadn't played. It turns out it's actually a new game, and it was getting decent, not review scores, because there aren't any reviews even now at the time, but it was getting decent press, and I was interested in it because Level 5, the developer, had made Ni no Kuni 1 and 2, which I quite enjoyed, especially for the art style and music, so I was keen to check some of this out. I am honestly blown away by how good this game is, basically on every aspect. I guess I'll put this as like a list of fantastic things the game does. First one, very quick introduction. You make your character. You have a character introduction with like the 5 people on the ship. There's an action sequence. The music is great. It has good story setup and controls all within a 15-minute block. You are not stuck for 3 hours Animal Crossing doing crap before you can actually do anything. Very nice, quick 15-minute intro. There is immediate story solution. So the kind of intro is that you're on a ship, you're an archaeologist, you found this dragon and this fossil, and you're going back to your city to, like, investigate it, do all the archaeology stuff, right? And you get attacked by a dragon all of a sudden, and that's not good, right? Because it's destroying the ship. The bone dragon comes to life, saves you, runs away to an island of some kind, and basically knocks you off. The immediate story solution would be, okay, logically, you're dropped off at an island because the dragon that you were riding chucked you off. Well, what are you gonna do? You're here, you're on an island, you have to get back to where you're going. Well, the dragon that just got you there probably is a good solution. So they find the dragon. Pretty easy to do that. You have to ask the king of the island that you're on to take the dragon, because it's now, on his effective turf. So it's like, okay, you talk to the king, they're like, yep, you can take the dragon. King agrees, but unfortunately, due to the dragon inherently saving you and getting into a little bit of a tussle, he cannot because he is weakened, so you have to find something to fix him. Pretty easy. You're able to find the dragon fruit to get back to him, and part of finding the dragon fruit is creating what's called a life, which is, you'll think about these as like your MMO life skills. So I really like how not only is there a quick intro, but there's a quick story solution with actual agency in the story of logical things happening when they should, which seems like a small thing, but trust me, especially on these kind of games, having a logical story is like a very big benefit. The lives are really the standout of this game. The lives are effectively professions or life skills similar to MMO life skills. You need a license for each life. You also need to prove that you are valuable in each skill in order to actually be able to do every skill. One thing I really like about this game is that you are not just given free reign to do whatever you want immediately. You have to earn it. So if you want to be very good at the bow and arrow in combat, you have to do the hunter and level that up. If you want to be very good at wood cutting, you have to go do the lumberjack and level that up, right? You can't just do everything from the start. This is very appreciated because a lot of these games do kind of let you do everything, and it's a little bit overwhelming and not that kind of directed, right? So I really enjoy that. They give you the freedom to choose a starting point, but beyond that, everything else is not a given. Lives are very well designed. There's about 14 of them. There's 4 ones that are directly combat focused, and there's 5 ones that are more decoration focused, like tapestry and that kind of thing. And then there's ones that are more crafting focused, blacksmith, mining, woodcutting, that kind of stuff. The lives have full skill trees with combat abilities or special abilities or benefits and upgrades, that kind of thing, as well as progression paths when it comes to different quests, on top of side quests and main quests to do for that. And they also benefit from interlinking, which is very nice. A good example is when you have to craft gear. If you're a paladin, which is one of the combat classes, and you want a new shield, you have a couple options, right? You can buy one, or if you level up your blacksmith life, you can make one that's a better quality. But you can also make one that's an even better quality if you get a higher quality metal from leveling up the minor life. So you begin the process of leveling up the minor life to get better metal, to create a better shield from the blacksmith so that you can get a better shield on your paladin, to go through a dungeon easier, right? That kind of like RuneScape-esque loop of, I can get a better quality of this if I do this, 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 and this, and so that's how you end up doing that, right? None of this is required, mind you. You are not going to be stuck doing this just because you are forced to by the story or anything. All of it is optional, but it is incredibly rewarding. And that is what I'll say is kind of the highlight here, is that it is a very nice mix between the like Animal Crossing freedom of decoration and the more Hello Kitty island adventure kind of mission structure that game takes apart. It's a really nice middle ground that gives you both an actual campaign and story campaign to go through, as well as the kind of like town building and decorating aspects. So this has a full single-player campaign story with story and characters and all that, and that's about 25 hours, give or take. And it has the Animal Crossing kind of like decorate your house, change the island how you want to, decorate your base kind of thing of the Animal Crossing games. So it kind of marries those two very well. But then it also has the more like My Sims or The Sims kind of job system where you can, be a lumberjack and then be a hunter and be a fisherman and all that, and increase the quality there. So it's very nice in that regard, that if you want to just play this like a Zelda game, for instance, you can, and do the dungeons and do the combat stuff. If you want to play it more like a Sims game and just do all the social sim stuff, you can do that. If you want to play it like an Animal Crossing game where you do the decorations and stuff, you do have to interact a little bit with the story and kind of like the combat in order to do that, but it is very rewarding there. But it's just a really nice mix of, it gives you the freedom to do all these things, but it also is quite directed, and like it gives you, hey, if you're a hunter, do these hunter things, and then you can do the story. But you also might want to improve your hunter things by doing some other stuff. Like it encourages you to do the other lives and do the other systems in the game with what you start with. So like you'll start with a hunter life like I did, but you'll want to, in order to get better bows, you'll want to do the lumberjack life, right? The wood cutting, so you can get higher quality wood for bows that you can craft. And so it's just that interlinking that encourages you to interact with more and more systems, which I think is very good. Fantastic sound design. This is really important. Not a lot of games kind of focus on this. Animal Crossing is pretty good on this, but it does lack in some areas. Sound design in this game is fantastic, from the music to the footsteps to the sound of combat to the reactions to the animations. Everything about sound in this game is really great, and I think if you're able to use and play this game with headphones, that is a total benefit, because a lot of the sound mixing as well is very good, and I'm quite impressed with it. Excellent music, as I said, and also very good music variety in terms of where you're going. Every shop has its own theme, multiple overworld themes, multiple different themes depending on where you are and time of day and that kind of stuff, which is very appreciated. Very an exceptionally focused and responsive combat, as well as movement from things like hit effects to attack animations to sound cues and all that is very good. So I really appreciate how responsive and AAA effectively the combat feels, which is obviously something that I know a lot of these games either just don't have combat, like Animal Crossing or Roots of Pacha, or if they do have combat, it's like barely functional, right? So I really appreciate how much effort they put into that. The game also, shockingly, is 4-player online co-op. I believe you're able to do less players than that, but it supports up to 4-player online co-op. And it supports cross-play and cross-save. So if you buy this on Switch and you want to transfer your save to Steam, you can do that. If you play on Switch and you want to play with people that play on PC, you can also do that for like dungeons and some of the other more multiplayer aspects of it. The game is also receiving frequent updates and has updated like 4 times since the game came out like less than 5 days ago. And there's DLC planned, including some free DLC to get some like more endgame stuff. So all that in terms of how good the game is, just from a functional like game design perspective. Now let's talk about some of the other things that I think are really impressive. The combat. This game does not have super in-depth combat, but what it does have is combat that's extremely responsive, that's extremely well designed and feels good to do, and has the variety to back it up. So I started off with the Hunter because I wanted to see how the combat in the game works. You have a basic arrow shot attack, a volley that you charge to kind of aim, your scatter shot, which is your special attack, your ultimate, you have a dodge that lets you swerve out of the way, and then if you hold that dodge, you have an arrow selection from things like sleep arrow, poison arrow, fire arrow, lightning arrow, and then your basic attack arrow. That is a relatively simple move set, but I would say it's pretty similar to like Legend of Zelda or any other kind of action-adventure game there. And that is 1 life out of 14. every single life, including the ones you wouldn't think, like Miner and Lumberjack and Tapestry stuff, have their own skill progression and combat systems, which makes the game fantastic if you just want to kind of chill out and play the combat of the game, right? Obviously, the ones that are more combat focused are going to involve you killing more things out in the world, more, MMO-like, if you will, but a lot of the other ones, when crafting, for example, have really nice progression curves that are less focused on just killing a bunch of monsters. So I really like that, and I really think that's a very good highlight part of the game. Like, this is not... I think a lot of the marketing in this game is doing a disservice. This, to me, feels like an Animal Crossing and Zelda mix, even a little bit like Dragon Quest-y, because it isn't like a Sims kind of do whatever and very directionless. This is a full game that you start, has that campaign, has that good setup. You get there, you do your social life stuff. You can go into dungeons, right? And you can. There's like so many things that encourage you to play this like a full game. A lot of the time, a lot of these games like Animal Crossing and stuff don't really feel like full games. They feel like, hey, we have this social sim sort of sandbox thing that you can interact with, but they don't feel complete. This feels complete. You have that full single player, effectively, story campaign mission structure. And you can do your social sim life stuff, and you can do the dungeons like a Zelda game, right? And you have all this music and all these characters, and like you can create exactly what you want the game to be, but it is focused enough that if you don't want to play this like a sandbox game, like an Animal Crossing, you don't have to. And I think that is such a boon for the game that basically is never talked about. The marketing for the game is like, oh, choose between this. But to a lot of people, myself included, that doesn't do anything to me because that's effectively what Animal Crossing is, right? You can become a farmer in Animal Crossing, but not really, because all you're doing is picking up things and you can't actually sell them, right? You can become an architect in Animal Crossing, although not really. You just find random fossils and put them in your museum, right? Like, the depth that you'd expect those things to have in that game don't exist, but they do in this game. If you want to become a woodcutter and cut trees and do like boss battles with trees and stuff to get higher quality arrows for your hunter skill, you can do that. It actually feels like they put effort into making this a full game experience with social stuff versus it being a social thing first, which is absolutely appreciated. So I think you should absolutely check this game out. It is a little bit expensive. It is full price $60. And there is a potential for it to be $70, depending on if the Switch 2 version is a paid upgrade or not. But I do think it's worth it, and I absolutely do I'm not going to say recommend the game, because that's for a more full review, but I would absolutely recommend checking the game out at least, seeing gameplay of it. This is a very fun game to play, a very relaxing game to play, but also one that's very rewarding, and I was shocked at how rewarding I felt playing this game. So hopefully it was interesting. Hopefully you check the game out if you're interested in anything I've said here. Subscribe, hit the like button, do all that, and I'll see everyone in the next video.